He's my real estate friend, realtor friend, and real estate agent friend, right? Is that how we call it?
Yeah, you could say realtor
You
as
could
well.
say realtor as well.
I think
Okay,
it's
he's
I think
realtor
that's
as
the
well.
trademark term. Mario.
Yeah. Well, I
Somebody
thought it
trademarks
means
that.
you gotta be you got to pay fees or something, right? Isn't that what that's all about?
We
Actual
definitely do
realtor.
pay fees. This is true. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so we have an in-studio guest. I told you we'd have him sometime. We finally got Ryan, who is a celebrity in his town. He's from the city of Harvey, which people don't know what I'm talking about. It's a is that southwest or just straight south
No, just straight south.
south suburb of Chicago. I mean, if you go east about 10 minutes, you're south of the Roseland area. That's where my family's from.
Right. Pretty much directly south of. Well,
you're
a little bit
south
a little bit west of Roseland, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, he's far down there in Harvey. So anyway, Ryan is here to talk about a bunch of stuff going on in his city. And before we forget, let's say hello to Earl. Hi, Earl's here. The big boss is here today.
Hi, Earl.
And also, happy birthday to Libby. Do we get to say how old you are? Because you look so good at your age.
Yeah, I never age. It's amazing.
You're forever young.
She's almost a century old. No, I'm kidding.
I'm old.
Like a half a century. We'll go with that. How's that?
Yeah.
Do you sing? Do you sing for birthdays?
I'm gonna sing. I was gonna sing happy birthday. You ready, Ryan?
I'm ready.
We're gonna sing for Libby. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, Marilyn Monroe.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Libby.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you, and many more. I was kind of doing my Marilyn Monroe. I think Ryan was going with it too. So happy birthday to Libby.
Oh,
you're still with us. Yeah, like I said, you don't look a day over 30. How's that?
Thank you. I'll take that any day. Thank you.
So anyway, we got that out of the way. I wanted to mention that we didn't get a chance to celebrate earlier in the week, so we just did it now live on the radio and stream on video and on IntellectualRadio.com. And by the way, you can find us on the website if you want to go to the website, or you can go to YouTube, look at YouTube Live, and also podcasting. We are a podcast. Ryan, you were asking me before the show, where do you find it? So here I'm doing it live on the air. IntellectualRadio.com. The app there's one called Spreaker. Most people don't know that one, but that's one app you can go to, Spreaker. And then it's also featured at some point. You can find it even on iHeart app. So there's a lot of good places to find it online, but that's the audio. If you want to see our beautiful faces, you have to just go to the YouTube page.
Yeah. Does it do live on YouTube?
It is live right now. It is. So don't say anything bad.
We're doing it live.
Actually,
I love it.
The FCC isn't going to find us. Earl will. So anyway, back to the story where you find us. So yes, YouTube, and then like I mentioned, the website, and then of course I'm not doing it myself, but there are Facebook streams, and eventually I'm going to use to plugging my phone in for that as well. Got to bring some other.
I was going to say, where do you get where are most of your viewers or listeners from?
I'm going to say, well, I guess it depends. Like if you're driving, you're probably listening to the podcast.
Okay.
Because you're not going to be in your car watching the video, are you? I don't know.
Say no, Ryan.
Say no.
Is it mostly Chicago area or?
I would say.
Right,
I mean, I know a lot of people in Chicago know about us, but I mean, I've got friends in Florida listening. I've got friends in Vegas that I told about when I was on the actual radio. They still kind of know I'm around.
Oh, that's right. Because you were on other stations. What was the biggest station you like? Were you on? One that was like national? Or, well, they were all syndicated anyway, right?
You want my honest answer, and I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting in this studio. I'm getting more response, at least on the videos, from being on an internet radio station than I ever got being on WLS radio, which is a big station in Chicago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did mention
the world's largest
that's
store.
Pretty major.
Yeah. You know what the world's largest store? Do you know that's what it meant?
No, I didn't know that.
Yep. So anyway, I've got a bigger response. Now we were here, but we were on live on the weekends in the middle of the night. So maybe I got to stop harping on too bad because that's usually not as many listeners, Right.
It's,
like they have that truck driver guy show.
Night, like 1 a.m.?
No, we were on, Libby, do you remember? Wasn't it like 10 to midnight, right?
Yes.
On Sunday, though.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, Sunday at 10 to midnight.
It's not too bad. But yeah, I guess if you're,
who,
before work,
if we didn't promote it enough, I don't think people are just have it on in the background. But they might have the app open and just be listening to this live. So, because again, it's live and you could see it later, pre-record. After
I would love to see. Like I know, I have my YouTube, Ryan's Gay Chicago is the name of my YouTube channel. So I tried to work on that for many years, but I found I didn't really get as many viewers as I would like. So then just maybe a few months ago, I don't know exactly how long, but I tried TikTok, and that really wasn't my thing. And I said, okay, everybody kept talking about it, and so many more people would view it, and I'm like, I don't understand. Like I'm covering the same stuff. So I guess it just depends on how people find you. So now I try to post, like, if I make something about what's going on in Harvey, let's say, or it could just be a video about my daily life or whatever.
I didn't hear Instagram.
TikTok first.
I didn't hear Instagram. You're talking TikTok, not
I have
Instagram?
I have an order that I've done so far. So I do a TikTok video, and then I will share it from there onto Facebook.
Okay.
So usually it's Harvey related, and so the main place I'll post is the Harvey Historical Society Facebook page.
Okay.
Because that's where I update all the Historical Society stuff. And then I might post it on my personal Facebook, and then I'll also share on Ryan's Gay Chicago Instagram.
Got it. Okay. There's the Instagram.
Then I will still put it on YouTube because
YouTube is awesome.
But I must not have figured out the algorithm or something yet, because to me, I feel like it's a better way than TikTok to organize your videos.
They've been here about 15 years already, but he had a bunch of followers. I guess it's just you have to get the word out, I guess, because they've had a big audience for a while. If you look in the corner, well, I guess you can look. It's okay, real quick. See that? That's a big deal. That's a lot of people. Now, that doesn't mean they listen every day to every show, but they can, and they could be listening over time. Like, they're not going to necessarily see this now.
Right.
They're going to watch this on Sunday night when they're whatever they're doing with their family and friends, and they got time to play with their phone.
Right.
I mean, I promote it to look at it live, but they'll just naturally, organically, as they call it, you'll find the followers.
But have you played around with it? Because I remember on YouTube playing around with it some years ago when I first started. And it'll say, like, you have 3 viewers from Germany, or you have 2. So I always found that was so cool.
I don't know if they still post it live, but I think you can find out. You could definitely get the analytics from it to do it. But by the way, we probably should say why you're here, why you're doing all that stuff on YouTube. It's not just because you're an influencer yourself. You're here because you help out in your community. You are a realtor. I have that right now. Real estate agent, realtor.
Yeah, you can say either way is fine.
And you also are involved with a bunch of stuff going on in Harvey. So tell us about some of those organizations.
Right. So I do, well, if I go back a little further, I grew up in the south suburbs, not in Harvey exactly, but not far away.
What's not far away? Homewood?
Well, we lived in Alsip when I was little.
Oh, Alsip, okay.
And then East Hazel Crest, which is just south of Harvey. So
yeah, that's right.
A lot of people, especially if they're younger, they don't understand that the way that area is built up. It was like Harvey was like the main city, like
and there was suburbs. Not much around, right?
Right, and just the other town. There were other towns, but they were smaller. So like that's why I always say the Harvey area.
I remember when I was a kid, there were
farms. The influence
farms
of Harvey was
I remember when I was
powerful.
A kid. I remember when I was a kid, there were farms coming up from. We lived out in Northwest Indiana and Lowell, and there were farms, like big farms, even all the way up.
Even in Matson, Tinley Park was farms. Frankfort was all farm.
Wait, well, no, but farther north, you could get close to Chicago Heights, and then it would build up because Chicago Heights been there forever. But right around that area, even parts of Homewood were still kind of, remote. Now I'm talking in the 1980s, late 70s, early 80s.
No, right,
I was a little kid. Okay,
right.
But still,
because you have
it's definitely grown in 30 years or 40 years.
Well, in Blue Island and Chicago Heights, because you're from the northwest suburbs, right?
Yeah, Libby doesn't know the South, I don't think.
That's okay.
My mom's from there, but I'm not.
You know where Harvey is, right, Libby?
I've heard of Harvey, yes.
Okay. So like the old towns were Harvey, Blue Island, and Chicago Heights for the most part. And everything else, like East Hazel Crest, these other towns around Harvey, Dalton, Riverdale.
Country Club Hills, where some of my family's from.
Right.
That was
Hazel
nothing,
Crest,
right?
They were all basically like suburbs of Harvey, So anyway,
suburbs of Harvey, not Chicago. That's
it's true. It's true.
Wow,
because
I didn't know that.
there were so many industrial jobs there. That's why I was telling Earl. A lot of people in urban planning nuts like me or real estate, they'll compare like Maywood and Harvey because it's like for the near west suburbs, like Maywood was an industrial hub.
Yeah, and
there were so many jobs, so you didn't have to live in Maywood, or you didn't have to grow up there to be affected by the culture and just in Harvey alone.
It was developed too. The point is,
it
was
tens of thousands of
But it was
factory jobs or something.
well.
It was
Wait a
crazy.
minute. It was developed more, is what you're saying too. Those towns have been around for like 150 years or whatever, versus the ones around them, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, some of them are newer, but a lot of them were just like bedroom communities they only really came into being because people couldn't afford to let's say to live in Harvey anymore. So then that's why Markham got built out and Hazelcrest and everything, because they wanted to still be near the factory jobs,
Right.
but the housing was more affordable.
You mean the areas that were more rural were cheaper back then? Back then, not now. Back then, obviously,
right?
not now.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So
Now that I didn't know.
We have family history going back to before 1920, I think, at least.
Really?
So we have, I have some family history there. So anyway,
in Harvey or Elsip now? Harvey, you're still talking, right?
That's in Harvey and in the Harvey area.
That's
so
awesome.
Harvey, Markham. So I came back. I lived in different places, and I came back because I said, "Hey, I wanted to buy a house first of all that was affordable." Because I was
Wait, where did you live before?
Well, my last apartment was in on the north side in Lakeview in Boys Town. So I
no kidding, you're by Libby or her old area. That's where you're from.
I used to live around there.
Oh, did you?
In the 90s, yes.
Oh,
yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Libby's by the airport now, the big airport, O'Hare.
Okay.
But anyway, so interesting. So you didn't always. I thought you were in Harvey like the whole entire time. You have moved around a little bit and come back home.
Yeah, lived in the Boston area for a little bit. Was in different, lived in Oak Park for a little, South Loop, Uptown. So checked out kind of some different.
Yeah,
areas.
that's where I lived in Uptown.
Did you sell real estate?
In the 90s.
Did you? She was there in the 90s. Were you selling real estate up there or no?
Yes, that's right. So when I was living in Boys Town, I started in 2012.
Oh, so okay, been a while. All right.
So I went to school for music, French, and education. I had taught French for a few years, high school French.
Oh, that's right.
Sounds sexy.
We didn't even mention that. He knows all the good. He knows the love language, right? Yeah. Italian and French, right? But I forgot you were also a teacher, but not in Harvey, right?
No, I was. That. Yeah, I taught at the high school. I taught French for a while.
What high school's in Harvey? I forget what it's called.
Thornton Township High School.
Oh, again,
to tie into. See, here you have Proviso Township High School,
but you got West and East
because it's but not in the past. It was just Proviso. There's only one.
Oh, maybe.
So same thing for Harvey, the oldest township, and they were very proud of this, established in 1899, because it has the big grand architecture, just like what's the old one now? It's East, right? Is that the old one here?
Yeah,
Proviso East. Okay.
Yeah, right.
But that's the one that has the grand old architecture and the history, because that was, each township back in the day had one high school.
So
for the whole township.
Right now, there's
Harvey has that.
There's Thornton Fractional, and I thought there's like 3 of them. Now I'm confused.
So then in the 50s they opened Thorn Ridge in Dalton.
Oh, okay.
Dalton, as in Tiffany Henyard, the mayor who's embattled there, as well as she is the supervisor of Thornton Township, the whole township.
Oh, okay.
So Thornbridge opened in the 50s, and then in the 70s, Thornwood and South Holland opened.
So the school you were teaching at is
I was the old one, Thornton.
In Harvey. Mm-hmm. In Harvey. Okay, I want to be clear on that, because I'm confused.
In downtown Harvey. It's really cool.
But a lot of my cousins went. That must not have been. Say your name of your school again? What was it? Thornton Township?
Thornton's the old one, yeah. And then there's Thornridge and Thornwood.
What's the one that you see by the train tracks and the quarry? That's the one they went to.
That's Thornwood. That's where I went. That's the newest school.
Okay, well, that's where most of my family from that right in that general area went there.
Where did they live?
And
South
then
Holland?
they lived in South Holland. Yep.
Okay,
and then my family that lived in Homewood and Country Club Hills went to HF and then Hillcrest. So anyway,
Hillcrest too.
We're getting off the subject here. We do have time,
but those are new. Remember, because HF was only built in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, that's not that
Hillcrest. So the old school, and my grandmother talks about this too, is 94 years old. Because she remembers she was from Stager, so she went to Bloom, because there was Bloom Township. Again, that was the township high school.
That's way down
in
there,
Chicago Heights.
I was gonna say that's Chicago.
They
Heights.
had the beautiful Works Progress Administration murals, like the stuff in the 30s. Again, beautiful historic building.
Where in the school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've never.
So that's in Chicago Heights, and then at the time you had Thornton Township High School, which was in Harvey.
Yeah.
So again, that's the centers of activity, and then you had Bremen Township High School.
Well, that's Orland Park, right?
Midlothian.
Oh, Midlothian?
Oh, no. Orland was farm people. Oh, my God. There was nothing going on out there.
I thought Bremen, well, maybe they went to the mall. I thought there was a mall called Brementown Mall at one point. That was near 159th.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the story. So
there were only those big three schools, though, back in the day. Isn't that crazy?
That I didn't know. See, you're giving me a history of real estate over here in the school system, which is what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about what's going on now that we're not happy with. But hold on. So you taught you taught first and then got into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's interesting because
I started doing rentals.
you're educating people about stuff. Now you're educating people about where to live. So it's still kind of tied in. Will you teach at all anymore? French is a cool language to learn.
I could, like my mother. Sometimes other people ask me, like,
Libby and I need to learn French.
Well, and you can. I don't know if you noticed, but like
we are French, both of us.
Yeah, we actually are French.
Well,
Believe it or not.
you both have French heritage.
I'm French,
I thought you
Italian,
were
German.
My mom
100%
is.
Italian.
Yes. My
Yeah,
mom's
no,
side
French,
is
Italian, and German, and she's French, English. What else?
Irish, Polish, English, and French.
So she didn't fight with herself. I did in the war, World War
I
II.
always wish I had some French heritage just because it's just fun and I'm a Francophile. But no, as far as I know, I don't have any.
Let's give a free plug because maybe they'll come on the show then. We're going to try that restaurant in Oak Park. That's where we're going, by the way.
Oh,
After this, I can't
what's
think
it
of the
called?
name of it.
Hemingway?
Hemingway's or
Sounds
something?
sexy. Yes.
Hemingway's Bistro.
Libby's favorite line today is "Sounds sexy."
Have you been to
I-
Hemingway's Bistro?
No, but we've heard about it online. He
Yeah,
looked it
I've
up
never
and,
even-
And I was like, "Whoa, this sounds sexy." So
I knew of it when I went. We lived in Oak Park, but it wasn't that long. So there's a lot of historic stuff I didn't do in Oak Park.
We like French onion soup. Is that considered real French? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it is French, but that's
Soup
not
à
like.
l'oignon.
No,
Yeah.
that was a tradition in France. People were eating that kind of soup. I thought that was an American.
No, I mean you
thing.
could still eat. Yeah. It's just soup à l'oignon. Yeah, it's just onion soup in France. It's not French onion soup.
Oh, they don't call it French onion. They just call it onion.
just like
Duh!
in France.
Oh my god, I can't believe I didn't
They
get
don't
that
call
one.
French fries. They don't. They just call them fries. You know.
yeah.
Well, that I know. Well, actually, wait. I thought they talked about that in the movie Pulp Fiction. They called it something else. Like the
It's called
hamburger was
fries.
Royale with cheese at McDonald's, but the fries were called something.
Oh, I don't know.
I guess not.
You can
French
just say
fries.
pizza. Yeah, they're
Just
means-
fries.
or fry. Yeah, like fried
They were,
potatoes.
they were fries, Libby.
Yeah.
It's like a little baby learning the language. Fry.
So
Sorry, I digress. So anyway, so Ryan, you have a background actually in
Mhm.
education. So
Right.
you
So I love teaching, and I was just saying a lot of people teach online nowadays. So I could do that. You can teach. There are these influencers that teach languages.
what are
and
you
such.
charging these
So
days?
I've
Okay,
thought about
we're
that,
giving you
but,
free pub. Do we get some free lessons maybe out of you? Oh, I put them on the spot live on the air.
I mean, it's always good to give previous. And a lot of these people, I actually subscribe to them because it helps my French too. A lot of these people, they're really good. Like most of them are on Insta.
What's the one with the
They make little videos that are catchy.
No, but it's a service. Like you can order it and you can like go online and it's you learn them.
Are you talking about
Rose something or Rosetta Stone?
Oh,
Rosetta Stone is one of them.
Right, I've not used it. It's really expensive if you.
Really?
If you buy it, but I've
don't know,
heard
I've
it's
never-
very good. Yes,
It does work.
Yes,
I don't know.
I've heard that that's a really good method, but no,
We did in high school, and you're a teacher. You can explain. Do you feel that learning paraphrasing? Our teacher had us learn things at a time, like read the book and learn a whole paragraph, not just the individual vowels, like the basic. Remember how you used to do, and I don't think they do it anymore. Phonics in school. But
I think both are important, though. Do you mean to understand
Yeah, to
what
understand
combination of letters make what sounds?
Well, no, we were looking at
Very
a whole.
important.
Instead of just a sentence or the words, we were looking at the whole paragraph, and we were supposed to memorize it like piece by piece. That's how I learned how to do it. I don't know.
You can memorize. Yeah.
Is
I
that
mean, to a certain
Rosetta Stone does that? I don't even know what they do.
No, I think to me, as far as I know, Rosetta Stone uses a lot of like imagery.
Oh, maybe.
In other
Okay.
words, they don't want you to translate as much. So it's like this
okay.
image, and then they give you the
word,
the whatever expression is. For it.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
kind of did that because they had you look at the language in English, then look at it in Spanish, and you were supposed to remember how to compare. It was like instead of just learning, like I said, like a phonics thing, and I don't even know if they do that in school anymore. You learned the whole paragraph, which I always thought was interesting. But I can quote you from the island, not the Galapagos Island. Now I forget what it is, but I could start giving you the quote of what we learned.
Poetry? What did they have you memorize? Poetry or something?
Yeah, it was like a history book.
Oh,
it was, but in Spanish. So it was an interesting. Maybe that was just my Spanish teacher in high school. I went to private school. Maybe that they do things a little different. I have no idea, but it seemed to work.
That was in Indiana.
I was getting A's and B's. No, that was high school. I actually
that was Oakbrook.
I went to high school in Oak Park. Speaking of Oak Park
I'm
restaurants,
sorry.
I went to a private school, Fenwick.
Oh, I was going to say
Fenwick
the
Friars.
boys. Well, it was all boys, right? Is it
At the
co-ed now?
time? It was, yeah. Now it's co-ed.
But it's still open, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
still- okay.
Oh, it's thriving. It's like 14 or 15,000 to go there per
That's
year.
also a beautiful old historic building.
Oh yeah,
Park
it's a
has
great
done-
Gothic.
Oak
very
Park
Gothic.
is definitely one of my role models. Like when I moved to Harvey, and then last year I reestablished the Harvey Historical Society
You're
'cause I
trying to
love
base it.
preservation.
You're basing it on
So
what
Oak
Park is doing.
well, I mean, it's just one of those like inspirational towns that has like they do a really good job.
You
of
like the Frank Lloyd Wright?
preserving their old buildings, and not just in so many places they'll just if somebody gives enough money, they'll tear anything down.
But you like the Frank Lloyd Wright look, I take it, because there's
No, it's
like
not just
3 or
about
4 of
Frank
those
Lloyd
and
Wright.
big ones.
No, it's a bigger idea in that, not that I don't like his stuff is cool, but it's just about trying to honor the past and educate people to say usually these older buildings are made better as well than
Got
the
it,
newer
got it,
stuff.
got it. You're
But
talking
if you
about
have enough money, like I
Yeah.
said, in most places, you can get anything demolished,
You're-
even if it's like culturally significant and people love the way it looks.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
made superior. If you get, surprise, surprise, right? Because I always tell people like how I went to the old Comiskey Park, and how that was just a huge
I've
mistake.
been there many moons
It's a
ago.
nice building.
That was
Can
a
you believe
huge
they tore
mistake
it down?
when
They
they-
tore it down, man,
I
to
can't
build
believe
the
it
new thing they
for
built.
money.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, Oak Park
And the
has
Cubs
the idea.
were
Wait.
smart because they saved Wrigley, and they make a lot of money off Wrigley.
But
too.
what you're saying about Oak Park is they honor
They saved the old
history, and
buildings
they
in
like
history.
the older building. They're preserving it. Are they preserved though, or are they
Correct.
just keeping them because people like them they're moving in? I
No,
wonder.
no. Oak Park's like famous for that. In other words, a lot of people that sort of did the white flight or the suburban sprawl thing, and let's say they moved out, maybe they grew up in the city and they end up in Naperville, and then they're commuting to the city every day. They were driving on 290 and eventually 88, to 290, and they would curse Oak Park because they would say, "Oh, when I get to Oak Park, it narrows."
But it's so
and
close
the traffic gets so bad. But
It's
Oak
bigger.
Park fought for that. They fought very hard legally because the city or the state wanted to expand that, and they said, "No, you're not going to cut into our our
on
buildings,
290, you
our
mean?
resident." Yeah.
I didn't know they were trying to expand it because it's been
no.
the old governor made that thing.
That is why it is
that
narrow.
arm thing.
The Hillside Strangler doesn't do anything.
The Hillside Strangler. Thank you.
The thing
By
is
the way,
it doesn't do anything.
People
The
who don't
reason
know,
why-
That was a
hold on one second. I
serial
want to
killer
make
in the
it very clear
70s.
for people who don't know that aren't listening in Chicago area. These are all western suburbs. Oak Park is
Right,
well
right.
known for the architect Frank Lloyd Wright, and who else was developing there that was big? I know Wright, but there's a few other ones. I can't think of their names right now. We used to study it in high school. Oh, Ernest Hemingway was there. Who else was there? But his home was kind of special.
Right.
So, but anyway, this is a suburb of Chicago. People that aren't like, what are you talking about? I think most people know about this stuff in general that aren't in Chicago. I'm just clarifying
Oak Park
for people.
is like in the textbooks, like not
Yeah.
just for having diversity in their town, for architectural and historic preservation,
Sure.
for a lot of things. So they have a lot of. It's a really cool. For being relatively small in square miles, like there's a lot that goes on in Oak Park.
True.
But they would have lost all that. Like when you're driving by on 290 and you see the houses and the buildings and everything. So that was all supposed to be leveled, and they fought that. But that's one of the few communities in the state that was able to it because, by the way, if you didn't know, it was really hard to stop a highway.
Yeah, but you know what? That happened in the 90s. That happened when I was in high school there. I remember that they were going to try to do it, and they as you say, they didn't do it.
But I think it also goes to another thing that I try to do as far as it's not just about saving history and everything, but it's about having walkable green communities, so people can walk, they're not reliant on cars everywhere, you can bike.
Oh, that's that's urban. That's the urban sprawl right there. You're talking about urban areas. Yeah.
No, so you don't have to worry about like for instance, usually IDOT, they do some good things too, but usually IDOT drives me nuts because in 90% of the cases, their solution for something when they get money is to widen the road.
Yeah, they like to widen the roads,
might
right?
say, "Oh,
well, it helped for the tri-state. Let's
so
be honest. It helped
we're-
the tri-state. We needed it. That's a big one. I know you don't like it. We're going to get into the Harvey thing in a second, but now we're talking highways.
That's urban theory. Well, because the research shows it that whenever you widen a road, it actually it's called induced demand. So people think, oh yeah, it'll get rid of the traffic. What happens is it draws more traffic.
Oh,
and then it gets congested again, and so then they expand it
And they
again.
gotta keep
and
going.
It draws correct exactly.
Well, like they did that in actually they did it in Hinsdale. Speaking of the Tri-State Tollway, again, for people that live here, they know Tri-State Tollway goes all the way from Bayou, and we'll get to talking about Harvey in a second, but it goes all the way from the Harvey area all the way north into Wisconsin.
Pretty
and in the area of Hinsdale where I'm from, they actually took out this historical thing we used to go to. I mean, an educational center called the Robert Crown. They took that out and they moved some other things from the Forest Reserve because they widened
that.
it.
That's right.
Like really
I'm surprised Hinsdale. Oh no, I'm not surprised. Hinsdale was the capital for teardowns. So
yeah, I was going to say, I guess they didn't mind tearing down stuff there.
But if that were Oak Park, no,
they might not have gotten it through. You're right.
Fought it tooth and nail, and justifiably so because it would be nice if we were supporting rail and other, greener options.
I do. I just like I was telling her, take the bus because we come together. I'm like, you could just
that's
come
true.
down Mannheim Road. Again, people aren't from here. Like, what are you talking about? It's near the airport. She lives near the North Airport. Oh, here, not Midway, the other one. But anyway,
Do you ever do
public
that?
transportation. She's got it. It's just like 3 buses or something, right, Libby?
It's 2 buses.
Oh, is it 2
I have to
buses?
go to the Rosemont station and then hop the bus on the.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of a
Come here.
pain. So I just go get her. But there is the opportunity even in the west suburbs where you're talking. I don't know about
Right.
Harvey so much, but up here
Oh yes,
we got
definitely
pretty
in
good
the Harvey
system.
area.
So
It depends on where you're at. I was going to say that's one thing that one of the reasons too why I chose to do my work in Harvey and be involved, because it is the key for the south suburbs, the historic center of the south suburbs. So we actually have the regional bus station, the bus depot, right in front of the Metra station.
yeah, I
downtown.
was gonna say you got them both right there, don't you?
So all the bus lines go from, if you're coming from the south side of Chicago or Indiana or Orland and further west or way further south, all the lines, I think it's 20 some, I should know that number, lines, they all come
They come
and
through
go
Harvey?
downtown Harvey. And we have the distinction of having the only 24-hour paced bus in the whole system.
Oh, I'm
I was
jealous.
gonna
It
say
runs
Halstead.
from 24 hours, right? You would think it'd be
Oh,
an
you gotta
O'Hare
get
or
on that
something,
one.
right?
Oh no, that's far
It
east. Though. You're
runs
talking
from
Halstead.
95th and Ryan. It's a 352. Runs from 95th and Ryan every 10 minutes, 24 hours.
Oh wow.
From
Yeah.
95th and Ryan to downtown
Lucky.
Harvey. That's it. That's
On
the
what
only
street
thing
though?
in the
It's
whole pace
Halstead,
system.
right?
Not
It's
for the
gotta
whole
be.
thing, but for the majority.
For I was gonna say it has to be. That's the only one that's main artery there. So
Yep.
anyway, that's
Isn't
for
that cool?
people who
That's a cool
don't know.
distinction.
Again, another major street that goes all the way from the south suburbs. I think it starts at like 200th Street or something, goes all the way into the north side of the city where Libby's from. That's a long road. It's not the longest one.
Right.
I think Western Avenue in Chicago is the longest road. I'm not sure
I
that.
think that's what I've heard.
I
Yeah.
think
I
it's
know one of the
Western.
papers a few years ago, they did a profile on Western.
Yeah, I think it's either Western, Halstead. It's not Halstead. I don't think it's either Western. It's not Lakeshore Drive, although you can get all the way down Lakeshore Drive. You just go through neighborhoods that it doesn't look like a highway at that point. It looks like a local street. But
No, it's not the
it's
Lakeshore
not
Drive
that one
isn't the
either. Anyway,
longest.
I digress. So you are here to talk about. We got about 30 minutes or so. I want to make sure I get it all in because I've got some stories I want to talk about.
Right.
You are here to talk about things
So
that are going on in your community, but
Mhm.
maybe not such a good thing. You want to kind of
Well, I
expose
came-
what's going on and try to change some things, right?
Right.
Speaking of the station, the Metra station.
Yeah, that's definitely
So,
one of our campaigns.
You're
I
here
chose
with what?
Harvey to,
What organization? Let's say that real quick.
well, most of my work is done through the Harvey Historical Society, which I restarted last year. Harvey always had, I mean, not always, but for I think since the late 60s or the 70s, they did have an historical society. Later was changed. The name was changed to the Thornton Township Historical Society, but then it kind of died out. Maybe
Why did they want to do the
2002 or something.
township? They figured they needed more than Harvey in the historical society.
I don't know. Again, Harvey's always just been like the capital of the South Suburbs. So,
Okay.
for instance, if you've heard of the Chicago Southland Chamber of Commerce,
Yes.
that was first the Harvey Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
Oh,
And so that morphed into becoming the Chicago Southland Chamber of Commerce.
because that's
So
huge.
a
That
lot of
one's like-
young people though don't
tiny
know
towns.
that. That's why I love to talk about like Maywood, other equivalents, because especially if folks are older, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, well, we remember that."
But
you
the
know?
Chicago South, that thing's got like I said, 20,
So that's a
15,
bigger
20
organization.
cities. It's big.
Right. So, because remember, Tinley and Orland and New Lenox and Frankfurt, everywhere else people come to think of now as big money towns, that was all farm.
Farms, yeah.
All farm.
Yep.
There was nothing significant economically there other than, some farms, a few subdivisions here and there.
Well, when do you think all this happened?
Otherwise, in Joliet, you get to Joliet.
When did people? Yeah, Joliet was big, but when do you think people started moving
Right,
that way
right.
and out of Harvey and the towns right near it? Like they started going way south, like for instance,
Right.
Orland and Tinley, like you
especially
said.
60s and 70s, yeah, but big time 80s and 90s for sure.
Yeah, because I know my parents lived in the Roseland area, the south side, as I mentioned.
Roseland was 70s.
Libby's parents lived in, what was that? Jefferson Park?
Oh,
No, Jefferson Manor.
Jeffrey Manor.
Whatever.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
that's
from
like,
Chicago
that's by
either, I
South
guess.
Shore, right?
Yeah.
It's right by South
So-
Shore. Okay.
So she was
My
south.
Elizabeth
mom's
South
from
Shore.
there.
and,
yes.
and they shot up north. They went way
Oh,
north.
nice.
She did, her
Oh, okay.
family.
We moved to Jefferson Park. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Jefferson Park
And then you
on the
ended up
north.
in Des Plaines
Yes.
from there. Okay.
About
Yeah, I was
20
saying, 'cause
years ago.
now Jefferson Park has it's like Mount Greenwood and Beverly. It's stayed because there's so many city workers there.
Yeah.
So that keeps like those areas pretty
So, yeah,
stable.
Jefferson
Yeah.
Park is like the Mount Greenwood and Beverly Hills of the
Right.
north.
And then
exactly.
Edison Park, same thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's a lot of
Norwood
city
Park.
workers.
My parents moved to Norwood Park in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
so.
Oh,
they
okay,
went
okay.
far. They
My
went closer
mom
to
worked
the
for the
airport.
city, so she had to keep
Yeah,
it in the
city
city.
workers.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicago though, not Harvey. You're talking Harvey
I
now, but
wish
anyway.
we could go. You know, Harvey used to have, and Chicago Heights used to have residency requirements. I wish we could go
Really?
back to that because that would help. Yeah.
Well,
So
it
even
would make
Harvey
more
had
people live there,
obviously
obviously.
smaller than Chicago, but like in the 70s, I have old firefighters that were telling me they're like, oh yeah, we lived in this part of Harvey because we had to live in the city. Even as there were a lot of changes going on in the city, and so they weren't necessarily a fan of all the parts of the city.
Oh.
But it was just like in Chicago, it kept alive at least a minimum amount of the area where people were really close and they felt very safe and connected. But eventually they got rid of residency requirements.
So where are we at today? Harvey is like maybe half the population it was 50 years ago or something. What's going on now?
It's down,
Let's talk
right.
current
It's about half of its, a little less than half of its peak. So we're a little less than 20,000, and it was at its peak was about 40,000. I think it was around 1970. Probably was the peak population.
Oh, back then I was going to say not now. Now it's at 20,000. You're saying,
right? Yeah, a little less.
Which is still kind of big
something
for a city. A quote unquote suburb, smaller suburb city.
We're heavily depopulated, though. It really is. It's we've had so much neglect and so many empty buildings and just so much corruption. So it's sad.
So what is the agency? What, say it again? You're with the Historical
let me
Society?
finish so I can tell you how I came there. So
Yeah.
I moved from Boys Town, and then I was looking to
Boys Town is where in Chicago? You're talking
right
Okay.
to make a contribution to where I grew up, but also I wanted some affordable housing because I couldn't afford to buy anything on the north side. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm a teacher. I was teaching in Harvey at the time, and I'm like, okay, well, I make a decent salary, but like
Not enough for the north side. No.
I was like, I could maybe try to buy like a little studio in one of the high rises,
Or no, just have
But
two roommates.
That's about it,
Have 2 or 3 roommates. That's how you'll be able to do it then.
So I said, oh, this is great. Look, I can buy an affordable property. I love fixing up old stuff anyway, and then I can give back to where my family was from. So I've been doing that. One of the first things I discovered was a lot of political corruption and just tons of obstacles. Not that I was surprised by that, but so I was plugging in over the years and trying to figure out how I could best help. And so then last year, a lot of that led into I said, oh well, starting the Harvey Historical Society. This is one of my shirts. It says
it says
love Harvey, fight corruption.
There you go.
I
Fight
wanted
corruption
to be a little edgy about it because unfortunately, a lot of historical societies are not known for being politically active.
Yeah,
And
no, they aren't
People tend to
at
think
all.
of them as like, oh, that's where those nice old people meet, and they share like old photos.
Yeah.
And they're always
Tell
They're always
stories.
one death away from extinction. And it's like I didn't want to be that, but at the same time, I feel like if you don't understand your past,
You're going to repeat it.
You don't, yeah, and you don't really know where you're going,
Yeah.
So, yes, we've had a lot of fights with our mayor,
Again,
and
but
with other folks that they want to just demolish things like.
But wait,
left and right.
this is the older folks that like to go to the historical society meetings are now allying with you, or are there younger folks too involved with this?
Yeah, no, it's a mix. It's a mix of people. We really need to get more people involved, so we're always working on that. My alderwoman Colby Chapman, she was in the news a few weeks ago because the mayor wanted to censure her and another alderman and the treasurer for the stated reasons were pretty silly and pointless. But basically, it's because they ask questions. And the mayor doesn't like if you ask questions, particularly if you ask questions about how they're spending tax money.
Oh, of course not. They hate that.
I know, and we don't know. What's crazy is like so many people have asked just
everybody's got to have
like
their slush fund. Come on, this is their Chicago area.
We've asked for like basic receipts and just tell us how you're spending the money. No, like they don't respond to FOIAs, so it's crazy. But the thing is, it's not just Harvey, and that's why I try to make connections. Like I've gone to Dalton meetings and Dixmoor meetings.
Wait, what's not just Harvey? You mean problems with issues with the politics, the corruption?
So many places. You sent me a link from something in Burridge, so I mean, it doesn't this. The idea of trying to make government more accountable and transparent.
I agree.
It really knows no limits. It's not just for poor
look at Trump.
It doesn't have to be. Oh, I knew she was going to bring up President Trump at some point. I was just waiting.
Anywhere it could be, but as
it's everywhere and everywhere.
Well,
it's
he
not
was the
just Trump.
president,
but you believe Trump is innocent of all charges.
I don't. My judgment. I don't make judgments until I see the verdict. Okay, I'm not on the trial, so I'll just wait and see what happens. But anyway, we're getting off the subject. We're talking a little about how things get done in Chicago, and Ryan apparently is trying to fight the traditional
Well, that's a
Right.
good
makeup
cause.
of, you
I
know, everybody
agree.
gets a little
Yeah.
bit of money here and there and things get done.
You're for it, Libby? You
Yes,
like
I
the
am.
But
spirit?
see, you're not paying the money to get things done. You're on the group that wants to get things done, you know, on the board. Everybody knows about it. It's transparent, it's public.
We're
right?
trying. I wish I had more money to like promote the sort of things that we want. Like I would like to, you know, save the old buildings and welcome
Yes.
investors who want to
Mhm.
fix them up, and we can put local businesses in the empty spaces and have the arts. I'd love to have downtown Harvey full of the
Yes.
arts and music.
Well,
And that's how it was when my mom was growing up. you
without
know?
Yeah.
naming any names, people are probably going to look it up again. This suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. People that don't know the area. You think you're having issues with who that's stopping a lot of your
Right.
programs or proposed,
Well, there,
like the train, the
for
Metra thing.
aldermen and the aldermen have been voting with the mayor, and then the mayor, which a lot of us supported. The current mayor, he just won his second term last year.
Yeah, because he had the
And,
other mayor went to jail or something, didn't he? The
right.
mayor before this mayor.
Eric Kellogg was like very known as probably one of the most corrupt mayors in Illinois.
I guess you could
history.
say it because he was indicted, right? There were trials about him.
They
Mm.
we're
guilty,
always
right?
sort of waiting for something to happen. But so far, I know they've gone after two of his brothers.
Oh boy.
His brother, one of his brothers was just found guilty last fall of, I think, like 5 charges. But
Holy
yeah, so there are
crap.
definitely people that are around him. But from what I've been told, Mr. Kellogg was just very good at making sure that other people got in trouble for him. The things that he
Just
did,
like
so-
Trump,
sounds
right?
like no, that sounds like Illinois, like the state.
Well,
You know, we
to
had
me,
our
it sounds like Trump too.
we had our
so.
Speaker of the House that got in trouble.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're gonna do corruption, I always say, I mean, yeah, there's smart ways to do it and dumb ways. So
Look,
in
there-
that
Yes.
respect, he always protected himself, I guess.
in
you know?
Chicago, there's this thing, something about patronage. So it's not like it's a problem to have family and friends working in the city. It's just when like a lot of funds change hands that maybe shouldn't have, and then you're trying to
Right.
get a project done, like you want the train station remodeled, right? Like we can get that in a second. But
Right.
when that
right.
doesn't happen because I'm sorry, everybody else got paid. Now we don't have any budget for it. That's where I guess the problems can arise
Well,
with stuff like this.
we're like with my alderwoman Colby and some of the other groups and concerned neighbors, we just want transparency, you know.
Yes,
So
exactly.
we've just been
I
asking,
agree.
like for instance, with our Metro station, that was one of our campaigns for the Historical Society. We Metra decided, I don't know, at some
Well,
point.
for people who don't know Metra, that's the train system. That's the suburban train
Commuter rail.
system. Because there's the
Right.
CTA in Chicago, and then there's Metra for everywhere else.
So that's our commuter rail that mostly serves the suburbs, and so they decided they were going to do some work in Harvey, and then so it started off as just they were going to redo the bus depot that's downtown, and then all of a sudden it morphed into this like for me $7-8 million, the $70 million project.
70?
Yes.
Are you saying 70 million?
Correct.
Yes,
Holy-
I heard that too.
Whoa.
So then, and it's interesting because I FOIA'd the minutes, and they couldn't find the
Yeah,
minutes
right.
between when, and you can see the meeting minutes.
Wait, stop. What did
when
you
they
do? Freedom of
started-
information? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Correct.
The
The
Freedom
FOIA
of Information
clause,
request.
yes.
The FOIA request.
Which,
Yeah.
Thank God we have that in Illinois.
Yes, we
nothing else.
do. Mhm.
So you can see where they were just talking at first about just redoing the bus station, and then there's this mysterious gap where they couldn't find them, and then all of a sudden, then they skip to the plans of okay, and so now for the 70 million project where we're going to totally demolish the bus station, we're going to close off Park Avenue, which is the street that goes a major street that goes right.
That's a
along the train.
main street in
We're
Harvey,
going
right?
to correct. We're going to move the bus depot right next to the train station. We're going to demolish the train station that was only built in 2003. We're going to build a new one that's like
Oh.
the ugliest design ever, and it looks cheap.
Well,
and
you're in
so-
real estate, so maybe you know. We can take
Well,
his opinion as
we've been
some
asking-
kind
the
of
way he
fact,
said it was
maybe.
funny. That's the
Yeah.
ugliest thing.
Yeah, no, I know.
No, it's true. And we've just been asking questions about like, well, how did that happen? And also, could you
How
just
did it get to 70 million? Is the question I have.
Yeah.
right? So we never
That's
got
what
that
we all
answer,
wanna know.
and we're always
Mhm.
like, why don't you give people feedback? How do
Right.
you know? Like a lot of people, they were like, I don't want Park Avenue closed down.
Well, hold on.
But
Is this the state
No one
doing it?
ever asks.
Is this because Metra's run by? Is that federal Metra or state? I think it's run by.
Well, the funds are mostly federal.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
So the feds are after Harvey at this point.
well,
You
the
gotta
problem
break it
is
down.
that, and I've gone with one of my neighbors. There was actually a lady from Dalton that came with. We've gone to the Metro board meetings downtown and talked about that and said, hey, like, what why don't you listen to us? Because
Yes.
basically they're taking the design and the plan that our mayor picked without consulting anybody, and they're
Right.
just running with it. And we're like, that's great. He is the elected mayor. However, you should still listen to the other voices. Like,
Exactly.
he's not the only voice. And so we know we succeeded.
Wait, they didn't have public
partially.
hearings like they're supposed to do?
What they did is they picked out 4 designs that they liked, and again,
Okay.
they never asked people about as far as closing off the streets or not, or they
Okay.
never even asked people if they wanted to have a new train station. They just
Did it?
it was just put, yeah, it was
Planned
like, you're getting a new bus station and a train station. So they picked out 4 designs they liked. They were at the Harvey Public Library for a week. Most people didn't know about it. The only reason that people
Mhm.
did, for the most part, is because I shared it on social
Well,
media.
hold on, back up.
'Cause I
Who's
like
they?
that.
You're talking about the
Metra.
Metra board
Metra,
or
correct.
the federal government?
Metra.
The
No,
Metra board.
No,
Okay.
Metra because remember, that's just funding. The federal government doesn't do this stuff directly.
Okay.
They can get federal
Well,
funds.
I
for it.
happen to know the chairman of the Metra board. I worked with him on several things back in the.
Oh,
I
you
think he
mean,
just
no,
retired.
not the chairman. You mean
The
the
Metra.
CEO, Jim Derwinski?
No. It's well, I'm not even gonna say. I'm not saying names. You say them.
Phil Pagano was the
No.
gentleman that killed
Okay, then
himself.
he. Oh no, I'm sorry. You know what? I said Metra. He's RTA. Pardon me.
Oh,
Which is
okay,
what I
okay.
want to talk about. Look at
I
all the
went to the-
levels of government
I went to the
there are
RTAs
for
and
one project.
I spoke at the RTA board meeting, the
Yeah.
PACE board meeting, but basically we were just saying
He used to be a state senator, and he got into that big job. So it's kind of interesting how people get from one thing to another, and that's what we're talking about. I mean,
Right.
where is this money coming from? How did this happen?
And
Just
what's the accountability
friends
for
of-
it? Like, how do you?
well,
So
Ryan,
a
you're
lot
the
of people,
accountability.
well, a lot of people are criticize this stuff because they're saying, wait a minute, so is this just an attempt to spend as much money as possible because certain contractors that are connected with these boards and are
Mhm.
connected with politicians can make money?
Right.
Well, I can't necessarily
I
say
think
that
Libby's
that's
answering yes.
100% true, but it's certainly I mean, they're not doing much to prove us wrong
Well,
because
look.
they don't want to take any public feedback. It's like, well, wait, we pay the tax.
Right.
Our tax rates are higher than anyone else
Ryan,
Exactly.
you're
in the
saying
whole
something
Chicago. No, listen,
that
all
somebody's
Chicago
people-
area. South Cook
Yeah.
pays. Our tax rates are worse than you pick. What's the poorest municipality out here, Earl? Maybe
I don't
probably
know.
Maywood, maybe.
No.
or
I don't
Austin.
know.
Our tax rates are worse than that. We pay by far the highest taxes.
Well, the tax is based on the property values, the population, how many people have properties. Obviously, there's a lot of things that come into
So
play there.
that's our money. So we're like,
Mhm.
well, we should have some say. It's not like
Right.
but people, especially areas like Harvey, have been so ignored, and the corruption has been allowed to fester over the decades, where it almost become like, if I show up to a meeting, people are still sometimes looking like,
Who are you?
Mhm.
wait, did he say he's from Harvey?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
No.
and then they're just kind of like, well, that's weird. Oh, and it's really weird that he's a white guy too. But okay, well, whatever.
Well, wait, how is
maybe
this-
someone's paying him. Maybe
how
he's
is
not
this-
really. But anyway, regardless, we're just gonna ignore it because
how is this-
Harvey
how
citizens
is
are
this
all
helping?
ignorant. They're poor and they don't care, and so we just get whatever the boards give us.
Well, do you
how we
feel
get to-
that what you're doing is getting a lot of residents involved? Is it? I mean, how many
We're
people are going to
trying.
these meetings now?
We try, but a lot of our residents have extreme PTSD because Harvey has had decades of when I say extreme corruption, I mean extreme corruption, and people like politicians like physically threatening to come
I was gonna
after
say, what is this, a
you,
mafia
your
thing?
family, and your businesses.
Sounds
if
like
you
Trump.
Speak out.
Oh, stop with President Trump.
No,
will you?
this is government. Right, same mafia qualities. It's
Yeah,
government,
Trump.
but it's mafia qualities.
I mean,
correct.
I was going to tell you. I was about to say it.
And by the way,
you were
like,
making a point.
if you're out from out here, Cicero would be. I was told by some people from Cicero that would be maybe something people could understand if they're from the west suburbs.
Cicero's had some
Cicero
has its
level
day.
corruption.
The obviously Al Capone had a base camp there, but he was all over the city. But he also was in Cicero.
Oh no, but I mean
Well-
like present day.
Oh,
There's
I
still
don't know
stuff
about
that goes
present
on.
day. I forget his guy's name. Big guy, big, tall, heavy set guy.
don't
forget
know.
his name.
Betty
Anyway,
Betty the Ren Maltese.
In my city,
Yeah, I remember
where I
her.
live,
Mhm.
and I don't like telling everybody where I live, near Burridge. There, I said it. Anyway, they're
Stalkers.
trying to get
Watch out.
there's a big funny. You spoke about the farm area where I live used to be like a test area for the Harvester International tractors, and it was all farm. I mean, the whole thing was, even they had County Line Road by me, but that was about it, and it was like a cow path. Okay, up until like the 50s. Okay. Anyway, that area now finally, believe it or not, New Holland Case is CNH finally decided they're getting out. No more testing, no more headquarters, nothing. They're moving out. So what they decided to do and I don't know how they did this. They got involved with our village because it's based in our village where I live, and everybody signed confidentiality contracts, whatever. So now the board and
Why?
the president, the
About what?
village administrator are not supposed to be talking about it. So I'm not sure how that
And
was able to
again,
get passed.
This
But
this kind of stuff, that's not.
this
Those
is
are red
CNH.
flags.
This is a huge company that's now moving out of the area. They want to redevelop the land. Obviously, they might do homes, whatever they're going to do. A lot of money in changing hands over here.
And if things are confidential and it's involving the government that's funded by taxpayers,
Hey,
it's suspicious to me.
I think it's a little strange, and I don't know exactly who had to sign it. I know the village administrator did. So that's like the president. Well, he's he's like the second in command to the president, but does most of the work.
You know what they say? Follow the money.
Hey, CNH
so all
is a
you
big
have to
company.
do is figure out, and if they signed NDAs, that means someone probably got paid.
Right.
Well, that's what's
They
going
say-
on in Harvey too. I just brought it up because I know it's just in the news, so I didn't make it up.
As far
Do you
as
think that's what's going on in Harvey? I guess is my question.
there are a lot of, I mean, because we have gotten some information just from FOIAing city employees' salaries and such. I mean, they're not totally honest about that, but you can tell that because of the large salaries, like as in six figures, let's say for our city manager, things like that, that, you know, if you have a town that's supposedly in this fiscal crisis, which we still are, it is questionable they're making so much money.
How much are they making? Now I got to know. You brought it up.
Oh,
what are
the
we
city
talking?
manager, I forget. I know it's six figures though. I mean, it's not. It's
You know,
not.
you know how much
I
our
don't think it's over 200,000, but maybe maybe she's.
I'll bet it
125
is.
or
Our
something,
village is only like 15,000 or 16, whatever it is, maybe less than that. But we have a lot of retail right in the middle now, and then we still have industrial. Like
your
we had
village
CNH.
manager, how much is your village?
Like
manager?
240,000, like almost as much. Well, the president's making 400,000. The president of the United States is making 400,000. Our village administrator is making like 250. So
I
there
think
you go.
a lot of these public salaries are inflated. It's too. You shouldn't be making that much.
I
if
wanted
you're
to always
serving.
be a public official, but
Yeah, I
whatever.
wonder why.
Aren't you supposed to be a public servant? Whatever happened to that?
Well, no, these aren't even the elected officials. These are the paid people that get hired. Like the village administrator
True.
is not elected. He's appointed or hired, whatever
But
you want to call it.
serving the public. Like, I think it's a poor use of taxpayer funds, even if you're a wealthy town.
I mean, we're making a lot of money in taxes out there, in sales tax. They're raking it in. We're one of the only. Speaking of what's going on with these cities and being poor, the village where I live is one of the only ones that has a balanced budget and has a surplus that's actually able to fund the pension.
Well, I mean,
for the police,
that's definitely a plus. But there are just strange things that happen in these cities, especially like the Harveys that have the you've seen a lot of the stuff in Dalton that's gotten more publicity. But like for instance, our aldermen, they make, I think, around it's like 45 to 50,000, I think, a year. Our aldermen, plus they get 25,000 a year expense account. And then I looked up Orland.
Wait, whoa! Each alderman gets an expense account of what?
Correct. Yeah. And then I looked up.
What was the number?
25,000. And then I looked up Orland, which is arguably like, let's say, the richest, municipality in the Southland.
That's $500 a week in expenses.
Their trustees.
Wait! I want to get back to that.
You have to hear what the Orland people make because it's so drastic. Last time I looked up the Orland trustees, they were making maybe around 15,000 a year. Now Orland has the money. They're very wealthy. They have the money to pay. So again, you have to ask the question, then why in Harvey, the city that has been so devastated and is in a financial crisis, why are they making 40 to 50,000 plus the 25,000 expense fund? And then in Orland, they're making, like, I think that's what the salary should be, maybe 20,000.
Burr Ridge is similar. They're like 10,000 or something. And they talked about getting rid of it. At one point, they weren't paid in my city. Or village.
So that just goes to show you, and as we've been fighting certain folks who always seem to vote on the side of non-transparency and things that are maybe not the best for the people, that a lot of these folks, if you look at their job history, usually they have majority public jobs. So the salaries are high on purpose because they fight so hard
because they want that job.
Well, because they literally can't do anything else. So that's why I'm like, well, that makes sense. Because in Orland, these people, they actually, thank God, they make money doing other stuff. But some of these people, the only thing they know is corrupt politics. So if they're not paid through that, they can't make an honest living.
What are you guys doing to help maybe change the salaries, for instance, like lower them for the next, fiscal year or whatever?
That would be good, but we don't have a majority. See, in Dalton, at least they have a majority on their board that is pro-reform, pro-transparency.
Well, people who are listening maybe aren't from the area. most people I'm sure are, but if they're not, Dalton is much smaller than Harvey. I think in terms of
I forget what their
population, at least.
population.
I
It
know
is
it's not as
smaller.
big as Harvey. I know that. I know the answer. Now, square footage wise, maybe they're both the same because Dalton's kind of spread out a little bit.
Yeah, I
But
should look that up.
anyway, you could look that up. But what I want to say about Dalton is they're having similar, you're talking about Harvey, I'm talking about Burridge with the non-disclosure. In Dalton, the mayor went on some trip with her assistant went on a trip, and they were in Las Vegas making deals. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I don't know if that's even, it's supposed to be public knowledge or at least some kind of open meetings thing.
And their trustees have asked similar issues where they've asked for receipts, they've asked for financial information, and as much as possible, the mayor and not the clerk, the mayor and some of her staff that she's hired, they do their best to hide it. They don't show how they're spending the money.
I don't know if
their
Harvey's doing
population,
it.
by the way,
Wait.
they have more than Harvey.
They do?
They just edged us out. That's how depopulated Harvey is. They have about 20,621.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. But anyway, what I was going to say is,
that's too bad for us.
Does Harvey? Well, I was going to ask you, does Harvey have the federal, the FBI looking into things, or the Attorney General, anything?
I've heard some people say yes, but I wish we would get more attention in the media, because I feel like a lot of the things that happened in Harvey, especially with the mayor and the majority that support him, are worse. But he's just really quiet about it.
Well, in Dalton, I don't know if she's going. I don't know what they're going to do to her, but the mayor is now being investigated by the FBI in Dalton, Illinois. So there you go.
She's been under investigation for a while.
No, but now the FBI is involved. That's big time. Now we got the feds in there.
No. The FBI has been investigating her for a while, and several people.
It just came
Dalton,
out in the news, so maybe it just wasn't known.
The thing that I saw in the news that one of my political friends sent me is that they just raided the village. Is that what you're thinking? The FBI just had a raid. Now, that
might be the latest one. Okay. Libby, do you know about this stuff? Birthday girl over there? You following any of that?
I'm learning as I go, but I just like to say politics is corrupt no matter who does it. Well, Republican, Democrat, or an independent.
In your city, do you find a lot of this stuff going on? Do you hear about this stuff?
I don't know. I mean,
he makes a lot of money, that mayor.
My mayor?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
He's more than Ryan's village.
That's Des Plaines?
Yeah, Des Plaines, right.
That's pretty wealthy. That is one of the wealthier suburbs.
Oh,
for sure.
Is it? Because I live there and I'm not wealthy.
With a large,
they got a great theater. A friend of the show, he's Mr. Onesti. He owns two of them now. He's got the Arcata Theater, Arcata, however you say it, and the Des Plaines Theater. So,
okay, those are historic theaters. Yeah. The only thing is, my big critique. I'm not an expert in your downtown, but I know it is studied by urban planners because it's one of the suburban downtowns. That people have worked on. But IDOT, again, poor IDOT. It's nothing personal, but like they did like LaGrange, where there's at least one, I think you have more than one state road that goes through the downtown, and they just like viciously they widen, so it's like
that was River Road, right?
Awkward. And it's like, come on, dude, this is like their prized downtown area. But whenever IDOT comes in to do something, you'll be like, okay, so we need to fix the potholes. Great, let's widen the road.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Well, wait, that's now the state though. That wouldn't be the feds.
We
that
need
that's like 294.
to make this safer for wheelchairs. Okay, let's widen the road.
Like, yeah, but wait, that's Illinois doing it, not the federal. Like 294 is the feds.
IDOT.
Yeah, see, so it's different
Illinois
organization.
Department of
Now you got to get mad at the state and the feds. Now.
IDOT usually almost every time, and it's just weird because they're doing that right now.
Do you have a bodyguard, Ryan? Is there somebody sitting outside the door or what?
I am not the first one to bring this up at all, for sure.
But right now you're the only one bringing it up in Harvey, at least, right?
I mean, yes and no, but like I said, it's more just because our population's had PTSD from so many nasty politicians over the years. So a lot of people, if you talk to
I have PTSD. I know what it is.
Even in Des Plaines.
Oh yeah.
For being discriminated against? What?
A lot of stuff. Car accidents, trauma, stuff like that.
Not political stuff.
Donald Trump.
Will you stop with? Oh, now she gets political again. Will you stop with the president? Damn it, the ex-president going to be president again? Maybe.
No.
We'll see. I don't know what's going to happen.
No, but it's because a lot of times people privately they will admit to me certain things, but it's just like, oh no, I don't want to say this stuff publicly, because then the mayor's gonna send his send the police to bother me at home.
Well, that's what I'm asking
They're going
you.
to ticket my business.
Is your water getting turned off?
No, luckily
mysteriously.
But my strategy is I try to be as public as possible about everything, because I feel like that provides protection. But I do take it seriously, and I respect the fact that for certain people, they to get to that point where they want to publicly talk about the stuff that goes on, they've accepted the risk that they could be harassed.
You know about the Freedom of Information Act, but there is also the Public Meetings Act. I don't know if that's just in Illinois. That might be federal. I'm not sure.
Open Meetings Act.
Open Meetings Act. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Well, Public Open Meetings Act, whatever it's called.
We did get one minor victory there. Or I should say it's an important victory, but we're hoping that leads to other things. I had submitted a complaint about a meeting in September, and then the state finally ruled, the state authorities a few months later, that the city of Harvey did violate the Open Meetings Act and how they conducted that meeting. So that was better than nothing. But that's what I mean. Like,
they don't like you in Harvey, do they?
We don't have as many. It depends on who you are.
Well, no, I mean the Historical Society loves you.
Which side are you on, right?
Well,
if you're on the side of like transparency and like trying to improve the city,
mayor and
then
his
usually
aides.
people like me. But yeah, the folks that are trying to basically keep tight control over power and money.
Yeah.
No, they don't like me. They don't like Colby. That's why the mayor tried to censure Colby and Tracy, another alderman, and Aisha, our treasurer.
We got a few minutes left. I want to talk about that. What they're doing to cover up corruption in your city, you believe, is they just won't let them talk. They'll just what happened?
Oh,
tell that
yeah,
story.
That happens a lot too. Right. So Colby Chapman's my alderwoman. This is her first term.
Oh, doggone it. We're not supposed to use names, but you did. All right. Too late. We've been using names the whole time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
that's all right.
No, and she, I mean, I talked to her.
Now they're going to need bodyguards. You happy now, Ryan? Now everybody's going to need them.
She already got a death threat. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm talking about.
She already did. So in January, she wanted to ask a question about, I don't know if you guys saw in the news, but how some of the folks were boarded up in their this apartment building on Halsted.
Wait, say that louder. What happened?
They were boarded up.
I didn't hear about
They were boarding up the apartments while there were still some people in the apartments, and that was on the news, right?
Oh yeah, you were supposed to bring that up. We only got a couple minutes. What happened there?
No, but it just that was in the meeting where we had 4 news stations there in the city council meeting. My alderwoman, she just wanted to ask a question, and the mayor, he wants those meetings to move fast. He wants everything to be approved very quickly, and then he wants to adjourn.
They call it the omnibus agenda.
Get out of there.
It's called the omnibus agenda. He wants everything just to yes, goodbye.
So then when she just wanted to ask a question, and she doesn't swear, she doesn't yell, she's very considerate, I think, and polite compared to if you've ever seen a Chicago City Council meeting.
Oh yeah, they yell at each other.
But they can have very respected politicians that will get angry and swear and yell. And so that's what I'm saying, Colby, I think she's very patient and kind. But the mayor had her escorted out with armed police.
What was the issue there? It was a big apartment complex, right? Like it wasn't like 2 people.
Oh, right.
It was like 100 people or something, right?
Oh well, let's see, 30 units. Not everyone was not all the units were occupied, but it wouldn't even matter the issue, Mara. It was just she just wanted to ask a question. So they do this thing called point of order, point of information, and the mayor says no.
Yeah, right. But you
can't ask a question.
It's a big deal. It was an apartment complex that I guess they wanted to get rid of, basically, in the city, right?
Well, the city just didn't have. To this day, the mayor still has not. There's no explanation for it. The city blames the owners for how that happened, and the owners blame the city, and that's where it ended.
Okay,
but it doesn't matter. She could be asking. She could be asking like, Mr. Mayor, like, we'd like to see the city budget, or Mr. Mayor, I have a question about like, why are you voting to demolish these 5 homes? Whatever it is, he will just shut it down. You literally just can't ask questions.
Wow. Okay. So don't question the mayor in your town, or else have the bodyguards, right? Or at least have some kind of protection with you, maybe a sidearm.
And I should
always fence.
Well, and I'm gonna pull Colby Chapman because she is very good at this, and I like that she says it. She always says it's nothing personal. That this is never a critique against like our mayor or anybody else personally. It's all about, we just want to make sure that people, taxpayers, are getting their voice heard,
right,
and getting listened to, and that government's responsive to people.
And
because some people will critique you and they'll say, "Oh, you're just going after that person
Right.
because you don't like him. You want his job or you want
Exactly.
her
Wait, that's
job."
your alderman? Who's Colby Chapman? I missed that.
Correct. She's the alderwoman.
Okay, she's the alderman. Well,
Yeah.
I want to say,
but she's really good about that, and I believe Colby.
we're
She-
getting
she
towards
doesn't
the
have
end, but I want to
animosity.
say where do we reach you? I want to ask where we reach you. I should say.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even
Well,
say that at the beginning at all.
right. You can. Well, the Harvey Historical Society is on Facebook, so you can
Okay.
find our Facebook page.
All right.
That's the easiest there. And then I have my YouTube, which is Ryan's Gay Chicago.
Okay.
We spend so much time fighting corruption. I don't get to the LGBT issues.
Yeah,
but
you're not doing
one
any
of these
that.
days.
You're not
That's why it
doing
was
any of the,
in the
uh,
I
name
support
of
the
my-
community, of
Yeah,
course.
but that
Oh,
was also
thank
you were
you.
doing that to like highlight where to have fun in downtown, basically, right? Or the
Right.
north
I have
side.
a video on that exactly. But I really like we have a lot of, especially our LGBT population of color, like in the Southland, that desperately needs support because the
Mhm.
suicide rates are very high.
Yeah.
We have a lot of folks that, especially if they're from religious families, they get kicked out of their homes.
Yeah.
So they're
sad.
they're homeless.
So do you talk about
they're
Harvey on
using
that
drugs,
site? Do you talk
so-
about the Harvey on that site too?
Yes, yeah. That's my only YouTube I have right now.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
And then of course the Harvey, Historical Society probably has their own website too, right? No?
we're still working on it.
Oh, they don't have one yet. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to have you back because you got a lot
Thanks,
to talk about.
Ryan.
We want to talk real estate, maybe even have you as a segment host, but be more positive about it. You just were so adamant
Sure.
about it in your videos. I had to have you on to talk about it. So I'm glad
we
you
could
were
talk
able.
preservation issues. Too.
Yeah, we can do
like,
that.
As in like how to repair certain things in your home.
There you go. You could be our home improvement guy because you have
Mhm.
you have some properties of your own, right? That you have.
Right. And
So-
I've had to learn because I tried to get contractors to, let's say, repair wood windows, fix up wood floors, keep original wood trim,
All
things
right.
like that. And I've had to teach myself.
So again on Facebook, where would they find you or whatever? Instagram, just Ryan. What did you say it was?
Yeah, Ryan's Gay Chicago.
And that you'll talk about anything
Or-
off of that site, I guess. Okay.
Right. Yep. Or Harvey Historical Society
Or Harvey Sword.
on
Okay.
Facebook. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, thank you very much for being with us. You had to trek up
Thanks,
here all the way from
guys.
Harvey. He does live in Harvey, everybody. And we're up in the north side. So thanks for coming. Glad to have you. Like I said, we'll make something out of this more than just today because we ran out of time in an hour. We actually went a little over. So thanks for everybody for watching and listening. And we'll be back here on Bell & Company on IntellectualRadio.com.
Thank
Well, actually,
you. Goodbye.
We should be here on Sunday this week. So definitely keep looking. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.